Thousands of Minnesotans who care for people with disability woke up on June 1st and could not get paid, not because that they committed fraud, but because a deadline passed. My guest today is DFL co-chair of the House Human Services Finance and Policy Committee, Rep Noor. Thank you for joining me. First of all, could we start? There's a deadline that on May 31st that passed. A lot of Minnesota providers were disenrolled. There's a lot of confusion in the air. How did we get here? Could you just give us the background, how we got here, and just explain things to us?
Thank you for having me. And the key point that you mentioned, there were many things that have happened. And I think to start from the beginning, Minnesota was required, the state of Minnesota was required to revalidate 5,583 providers for revalidation by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is the federal. This was part of the corrective action plan because of the inherent issues that were identified because of fraud and so many other things that we've been in the news cycle. So part of the corrective action plan, the 5,583 providers who provide high-risk service areas, that was the demand coming from the federal government, with the threat of withholding $2 billion from the state, which will have otherwise impacted 1.3 million Minnesotans who rely on Medicaid. Given that that was part of the plan required, and it needed to be completed by May 31, that was the deadline given to the state to do the revalidation. When that happened, I think there are several steps that took place. There was initial notification. There were several steps. Once that deadline was reached, anyone who did not complete the revalidation, anybody who did not fill the application, anyone who had a site visit with incorrect information or they never completed the process during their site visit were disenrolled. Also meant that the payment and billing was suspended, meaning that they can no longer bill for services under those areas that they were providing.
Revalidation usually takes, 2, 3, 5 years? And it took, DHS 5 months to do that? Was that part of the sort of like instruction that Minnesota has to do? And how was that process?
So basically, for any high risk, the revalidation is within 3 years. And for low or moderate risk is within 5 years. But this was unprecedented, as I noted. The state of Minnesota, the Department of Human Services, was required. That was a mandated requirement that in order for us to be in compliance with the federal government, that revalidation had to be done within a short period of time, which was 5 months, essentially. But as of right now, after that subsequent action that we received under the state of Minnesota, every other state was given 2 years to do the same revalidation. So we started on a short period of time, and every other state was given 2 years to do the revalidation. So here we are on a tight deadline in a quick turnaround. Many individuals who rely on these services are right now at risk of losing those services. And quite frankly, the important part of the question is, what is going to happen to the recipient who are relying on these services, the individuals who have disabilities, the seniors who rely on these services, and children who rely on these services? What is going to happen to them because their providers have been disenrolled? And continuity of care is one of the most important component of this process.
So what is going to happen to people who are most vulnerable in the community now that the people who are disenrolled are still appealing and they're still providing services? So what happens next?
So to give you the numbers, as I noted, 5,500